So, what have you been doing the last, 365 days? It felt right to do just one last video, especially because I arrived home in Canada on June the 30th, just as I arrived in Angola June 30th last year. I made my first vlog on Canada Day 2021, and so the final vlog I have composed for today, Canada Day 2022. I won't get into any of the details of my trip back to Canada. No one wants to hear about all the things that went wrong, all the hassles that you go through at the airport. Suffice to say, they were there, and in the end, I got home in one piece, so I'm not going to complain. As well, this is not the video where I'm finally going to tell you what I'm doing next, because I still don't have that part figured out yet. I have done some thinking about the last year. I think I know the things I need to share with other people as I turn to them for advice. But I don't yet know precisely what my future in Angola is. However, something that came to mind thinking about the last year and what made this full year trip different from any of my previous trips to Angola. I mean, certainly in the past, I would only stay about a month, and I would always stay as a guest of my aunt and uncle. So that made things pretty simple, with them taking care of the house and the food, the laundry, and transportation to wherever I had to go. When I lived on my own in Lodge, I had to figure everything out for myself, particularly that transportation. I didn't have to do any terrifically long hikes, whenever I wanted to go up to CML or to Nietzsche, I would arrange a ride. The longest trip that I took was the walk from my house in Lodge to Istel. I did a vlog where I showed what that path looked like, and that was about a 25-minute walk, so really not very arduous. I do more than a 25-minute walk here in Calgary. Of course, there are a lot of differences walking the streets in Lodge versus the streets in Calgary. Something I was reminded of yesterday when I arrived, because I took a walk out to my neighborhood supermarket, similar to how in Lodge I would step out to go to the supermarket. But because I'm up here in the suburbs, the whole time that I was out walking, I didn't encounter another person on the path. And most people were driving around in cars. Whereas traveling around in Lubango, I was constantly having to dodge foot traffic, not to mention the actual traffic, which, sometimes those motos would come up on the sidewalk, and it was never a good thing. I was always afraid that I was going to get hit by someone, but as well, just the throngs of people who were always out in the street, the vendors and hawkers, the beggars, and all those taxis constantly going by, shouting out their destinations. And I guess I got really used to how that was. It wasn't an experience that I'd had on those previous trips, being at ground level in Lubango. Wasn't always pleasant, because primarily the bakers, who were always asking me for moedas, for coins, and I never carried coins, so I legitimately could not help them out. As well, I found with the beggars, I would get called Baas, which, I mean, I, I, I don't really like being called anyone's boss. I don't like being called chef either, which is Portuguese for boss. I'm happiest if you must give me a title. I'll accept teacher, and I like irmão, which is brother. The weirdest ones though were the people in the street who would say "Bom dia, pastor." Okay, so they don't know who I am, or they would know that I'm not a pastor. I guess that they just saw some white guy walking around in Lubango, probably a pastor. But in all that walking, I did a lot of seeing. Things weren't always easy in Lubango. I mean, I had struggles, especially early on. A lot of it just coming to terms with how things were and how things were going to go. So a practice that I found helpful when I was wandering through Lodge was to try to see Lodge through God's eyes. That instead of letting my mind be preoccupied with whatever had been bothering me, to instead look at my surroundings and wonder, so where is God working now in the people that I'm encountering in the street? And I think it was a really good discipline to adopt. And I mean that, as well as praying for the neighborhoods as I walked through them, was healthier than being self-absorbed, So if I have to sum up what I learned from 1 year in Angola, I think I see better now than I did before. And this brings my series of vlogs to a close, unfortunately, unless I go back to Angola and decide to do vlogging again. So those are two ifs there. But it's been a real pleasure making these videos. Thank you for taking the time to watch them and listen to me ramble about these things. If you are on my prayer letter list, then when I do figure out what my next step is, you'll hear about it there. Well, ciao for now.